In the last exercise, I demonstrated how to create a random number array, or an array of random numbers, and then create a second array that holds the distribution of the numbers in that random number array. Now let's extend that exercise a little bit farther and display the data from the distribution array in a histogram or bar chart. You can get a better idea of the overall distribution of a set of data from a bar chart than you can just from numbers or just from hard numbers. So let's write a function to do that. We'll call the function histogram. It's going to take a single array as one parameter and the size of the array as the second parameter. The way this function is going to work is we're going to have two loops, an outer loop that moves through each element of the distribution array, distrib, and then we have an inner loop, a second for loop, that will look at how many elements are in each position of the distrib array and write out that many asterisks or stars. So for example, if the number 1 occurred 3 times in the numbers array and the number 3 is stored with 1 in distrib, then we're going to write out 3 asterisks. So we start out by writing the outer loop to go from 0 through 1 less than the size of the array, as we usually do, plus I. This time we need a body for this for loop because we're going to have multiple statements. First thing we want to print out is the number itself, followed by a colon just to give us a little heading. Now we're ready to write the inner loop. The inner loop starts at 1 and goes through whatever element is stored in that position of the array. So our second part of our relational expression is array sub I. So if it's 3, then we're going to write out 3 asterisks, and the loop's going to run from 1 to 3, incrementing j by 1 each time, as we usually do. And then the body of this for loop merely has to write out a single asterisk in each iteration of the loop. Then we come back out one level, back to the outer loop, and we write a new line so that we can move from one set of asterisks to the next number. Then we close off the for loop and close off the body of the function. Before we call histogram, let's comment out some of the lines that display information, because all we want to see this time is just the histogram itself, nothing else. We want to comment out display array, and then comment out any cout statements that we have. We'll leave this last cout in to make the histogram easier to read. And then we'll call the histogram function with the distrib array and the size. And then we'll put another new line at the end. So let's build and run the program. And if we scroll back up and look at the whole display, we see that, for example, 0 had 2 instances, 1 had 2, 13 had 4. And you can just look through the rest of these as I scroll down to see how the distribution went. Let's run it one more time. Scroll back up. This time 13 only had 1, and 1 had 3, and so on and so forth. So this exercise was another example of how we use arrays to not only store data, but as a means of presenting data as well. In the next exercise, we'll work with two-dimensional arrays.